Before I get started with this video, I'd like to welcome all the new subscribers. This channel now has over 400 subscribers and I'd like to thank everybody for watching and supporting my videos. If you really want to support this channel and help it grow, go check out my website at loudlabsaudio.com. Now let's get started with the video. Ever since I got introduced to audio as a hobby, I've always wanted a really high output, nice 2.1 channel computer speaker system. In fact, it was a cheap 2.1 channel system that got me interested in audio in the first place. And I've always wanted a nice system without paying the high cost for low quality speakers. And eventually you kinda just gotta say screw it and build it yourself, which is what I did recently with this system. This system consists of 2 satellite speakers using 4 3-inch full range drivers, a dedicated 10-inch subwoofer in a slot ported box, and a custom 2.1 channel amplifier to power it all, which is what we'll take a look at first. The amplifier board itself is of questionable quality and origin. It's the cheapest 2.1 amp I could find on Parts Express, and it really shows because all the outputs on the board are labeled in Chinese, and I don't think the 200 watts RMS power rating is accurate. If I had to guess, I'd say it's closer to about 100 watts RMS, and that's being very optimistic. The board has controls for left and right channel volume, subwoofer volume, and master volume. I also added an on and off switch to the board. For the rear I/O, I use a 3.5mm stereo jack for the audio input, mono 3.5mm jacks for the subwoofer output and the left and right speaker outputs, and then a 2.5mm DC power input jack. And the cool thing about a lot of these amplifier boards is you can use any 12 to 24 volt AC to DC power adapter to power them. For $14, this thing sounds pretty damn good. For a 100 watt 2.1 channel amplifier, this thing is an absolute bargain, and it will be hard to find a better solution for cheaper. Okay, now let's move on to the speakers. For these speakers, I decided to go with full range drivers, and I used the Dayton Audio DMA 3-inch full range driver. This was my first time building anything with full range drivers, and I wanted to try them without a crossover just to see what would happen, and honestly I was pleasantly surprised. I knew these wouldn't have a ton of low end output, but that's what the subwoofer's for, and since these are aluminum cone, they still sound pretty good in the higher frequency range. And just like everything else I built in the past 6 months, the cabinets are made up of 1/2-inch Baltic birch plywood. Because the drivers are mounted on the inside of the front baffle, the rear baffle needed to be removable in order to actually install the drivers. And I stuffed the inside of the cabinets with polyfill just to color the sound a little bit. These speakers by no means sound perfect, but for how simple and inexpensive they are, they make absolutely great computer speakers. Alright, now let's move on to the subwoofer. This is the part of the system that really surprised me. I wanted to keep with the super low budget theme of this system, so I decided to go with the cheapest 10-inch subwoofer driver I could find on Parts Express, and that would be the GRS 10-inch polycone subwoofer driver. And what you get is a cheap plastic cone subwoofer driver that performs pretty well, and come on, $20 is $20. The box construction is much of the same, 1/2-inch Baltic birch all the way around. The back is also removable so I can mount the driver on the inside of the cabinet. The box specs are about 1.5 cubic feet internal volume and a port tune right around 28 Hz. The low tune slot port gives this thing plenty of window rattling bass. I'm sure there are some powered home audio subwoofers out there that don't have nearly as much output as this thing does. And for a $20 driver, what more could you ask for? Okay, now let's get on to the fun part, which is listening to the system. Well, not really listening. I've decided I want to get seriously into speaker building, so I decided to drop the money on a Clio Pocket measurement system. With this, not only can I measure the specific parameters of drivers, but I can also measure an entire system. I'm still trying to learn the software and different measurement techniques, so right now I'm basically just playing around. Because this is a computer speaker system, I wanted to measure it at my computer desk to see what the actual perceived sound is. In this situation, you're also measuring the room as much as you are the speakers. More than likely I'm not doing this correctly, but it still is a lot of fun to turn some knobs and watch the frequency response change. Here I'm going to do a log chirp test to measure the frequency response. This is what it's measuring the room to sound like at that position. A lot of these really deep nulls and some of the peaks may be caused by room reflections. And really what you're measuring is how the speaker reacts inside of its listening environment. And as you can probably barely see by this graph, this system really does have quite a bit of low end bass. But with the subwoofer adjustment on the amplifier, you could use it to tame the low end a little bit. A better way to demonstrate this is by doing an FFT analysis, which is interactive. Here you can continuously adjust things and see how it responds. As I raise the volume, you can slowly see it get louder and louder. The lower frequencies are much louder than the higher frequencies, but that could be easily adjusted just by turning the subwoofer knob down. That makes the curve look a little bit more normal. So there you have it, there's a sound test for you. I'm currently in the process of designing other prototypes similar to these style of speakers that I want to have for sale in a couple of months. So go to my website and sign up for my newsletter to keep in touch on all the latest product updates. And make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell notification so you don't miss a video. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.